On a stormy November night in 1971, a man in a dark suit boarded a commercial airliner under a false name. By the time the plane landed, he had vanished into the sky and into legend. He called himself Dan Cooper. No one knew his real identity. No one knew where he came from. And within hours, no one would know where he went. Minutes after takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant. It read simply, "I have a bomb." The ordinary flight had just become a hostage in the sky. He demanded $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. Then he waited, calm, silent, unreadable. As the plane circled Seattle under a darkening sky, the money arrived. The parachutes arrived. Passengers were released unharmed. But the hijacker wasn't finished. He ordered the plane back into the sky toward Reno, with only the crew left on board. To understand this mystery, we must go back further, to a country still shaken by war, distrust, and unrest. America in 1971 was a nation on edge, and the skies were no exception. In that era, airport security was almost non-existent. No metal detectors, no ID checks. Anyone could walk onto a plane under any name they chose and disappear just as easily. This vulnerability created a wave of hijackings across the country, over a dozen in a single year. But none of them would end like this one. The plane he chose was a Boeing 727, an aircraft with a hidden feature almost no passenger knew about. A rear staircase that could be lowered mid-flight. It was a detail the hijacker seemed to understand perfectly. And as night fell over the Pacific Northwest, that single feature would become the key to everything that followed. Back inside the cabin, the flight crew studied him closely. He was polite, calm, almost gentlemanly, ordering a bourbon and soda while a bomb, real or not, sat in his briefcase. He never raised his voice. He never threatened anyone directly. His control was absolute, and that composure made him even more terrifying. On the ground, the FBI scrambled into action. Agents raced to Seattle-Tacoma Airport, piecing together a plan while a ticking clock hung over every decision. Negotiators worked frantically to gather the ransom. $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills, each one secretly photographed before it left the bank. As darkness fully settled over Seattle, the money and parachutes were ready. The stage was set for an exchange that would soon become one of aviation's greatest unsolved mysteries. At 5:39 p.m., a young airport employee walked toward the aircraft carrying a heavy bag of cash. Every step felt like it stretched into an eternity. The exchange happened quickly. Money and parachutes passed through the rear stairs. In return, all remaining passengers and 2 flight attendants were finally released. Only the hijacker, the pilot, co-pilot, and 1 flight attendant remained aboard. He gave new instructions. Fly toward Mexico City at minimum speed, at minimum altitude, with the rear stairs down. Such a request was almost unheard of. Flying that low, that slow, with the stairs open. It was as if he was preparing for something no one else could see. At approximately 8:13 p.m., the cockpit crew felt a sudden pressure change, a violent jolt through the aircraft's frame. Something, or someone, had just left the plane. When the crew checked the cabin, the rear stairs were empty. The hijacker, the money, and the parachutes, all of it, had disappeared into the storm below. Below him lay one of the most unforgiving landscapes in America: dense forest, freezing rain, and mountains that had swallowed hikers and pilots alike. No radar could track a single falling man in a storm that dark. In an instant, he had vanished, not just from the plane, but from history's grasp. The plane landed safely in Reno. The crew was shaken but alive. And within hours, the largest manhunt in FBI history had begun. Agents combed the skies, the forests, and the rivers of the Pacific Northwest. But the man who called himself Dan Cooper was already a ghost. Days passed. Then weeks. Search teams found no parachute, no footprints, no sign that a man had ever touched the ground at all. Theories began to spread. Had he survived the jump? Had the freezing storm and rugged terrain claimed him instantly? Every answer only created more questions. The FBI opened case file NORJAC, short for Northwest Hijacking. It would remain open for the next 45 years. Investigators studied everything he left behind: his tie, his cigarette butts, even the note he handed the flight attendant. But none of it revealed his true identity. Without fingerprints in any database and no matching description, the trail went cold. The man who vanished into a storm had become America's only unsolved skyjacking. But the silence didn't last. In 1980, a young boy playing along the Columbia River made a discovery that would reignite the entire investigation. Buried in the sand were 3 decaying bundles of cash. Over $5,000. The serial numbers matching the ransom money exactly. For the first time in 9 years, there was physical proof. He had come down somewhere near this river. But the money raised more questions than it answered. Why was the money here, miles from where he was believed to have landed? Had the river carried it downstream? Or had something happened to him along the way? Investigators returned to the mountains with new urgency. Somewhere in that wilderness, they believed, the rest of the answer was still waiting to be found. Then came a twist no one expected. A meticulous document examiner, studying the hijacker's tie left behind on the plane, found something investigators had missed for years. Trapped in the tie's fibers were microscopic metal particles, rare alloys used almost exclusively in aerospace manufacturing. The hijacker may have worked around aircraft or engines or titanium. This single clue reshaped the entire profile. He wasn't a random criminal. He was someone with technical knowledge, perhaps even aviation industry experience. Suddenly, the list of suspects narrowed. Engineers, former paratroopers, aircraft mechanics, men who understood exactly how a 727's rear stairs worked. One name kept resurfacing in witness reports and internal memos. A name that would haunt the case for decades. Richard Floyd McCoy. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. was no ordinary suspect. A former Army helicopter pilot and skilled skydiver, he seemed to match the hijacker's profile almost perfectly. Just months later, in a chilling echo of the original crime, McCoy hijacked another plane, demanding cash and parachutes, then jumping from the rear stairs of a Boeing 727. But this time, investigators were ready. Within days, McCoy was captured, tried, and convicted for his own hijacking. Could he also be the man who started it all? Agents who had interviewed him noticed striking similarities. His voice, his composure, even his knowledge of aircraft. Yet McCoy always denied being D.B. Cooper. Officially, the FBI could never fully connect him to the case. Physical evidence was inconclusive. The truth, once again, slipped just out of reach. Decades passed. New leads surfaced, then faded. Names like Kenneth Christensen, Dwayne Weber, and Barbara Dayton were all proposed by amateur sleuths and journalists, each theory compelling, none conclusive. In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI made a startling announcement. They were officially closing the case, redirecting resources toward more solvable priorities. The case was never solved. No arrest was ever made. No body, no parachute, no definitive identity was ever confirmed. Only the money in the sand and the questions it left behind. To this day, theories continue to divide experts. Some believe he died instantly in the fall. Others insist he survived, vanishing quietly into an ordinary life. What we know for certain is limited. A name that was never real, a jump that was never witnessed, and money that resurfaced with no explanation. Everything else remains disputed. In recent years, new investigators have returned to old evidence with modern technology, analyzing the tie's particles again, this time with tools that didn't exist in 1971. The results confirmed the original findings and added something new. Traces consistent with a specific type of aerospace manufacturing plant, active in the Pacific Northwest during that exact era. This single detail reignited public fascination. Amateur researchers, retired agents, and true crime investigators began revisiting old employee records from that very region. Yet even with every advance in science, one truth remains unchanged. Without a body, a confession, or a positive identification, certainty may never come. Perhaps that is why this case endures, not despite its lack of answers, but because of them. D.B. Cooper became less a criminal and more a mirror for our need to solve the unsolvable. Today, the legend of D.B. Cooper lives on in books, documentaries, and the quiet hopes of investigators who still believe the truth is out there, waiting in the wilderness. Every year, new tips arrive at the FBI's old files. Every year, someone new believes they've found the answer. And every year, the mountains keep their silence. Perhaps he died that night, swallowed by the storm. Perhaps he walked away and lived a long, quiet life under a different name. We may never know for certain. What remains certain is this: for one stormy night in 1971, an ordinary man became an impossible mystery. And the sky never gave up his secret. If this story captivated you, subscribe for more real mysteries brought to life. This has been an amazing Basit production.